Record.
Oh, God. Just outside, all this wind. Let me just
Hello,
open up.
everyone.
I'm just going to open up the YouTube. Yes, hello everyone who's hopping on. Please like the video, comment, subscribe if you'd like. It's volume down.
Okay.
Oh, Lisa, so glad you're here. Well,
Hi, Lisa.
that'll be my cue. Good
Thank
evening,
you.
everyone.
Seeking truth.
What? All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Karen from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. Today I'm with my lovely co-host, Tina.
Hello, everyone.
We're just hopping on for a call. It's been a while since I think we had a couple of guests in the last several, that's not true. Last couple of YouTube sessions. But we wanted to come on today to talk about, is the soul trap theory fear-based?
Okay. So this is a really hot button topic for me let me just take a deep breath. When information, especially in this, well, mostly in the spiritual community, is labeled as fear-based, it literally drives me insane because information in itself is not fear-based. Like someone commented today, and we're going to talk about this on a post, that they could, when they hear the fear, they instantly discount everything. I'm like, wait a minute. You can't hear fear. You're feeling fear within because that information is triggering that fear that's already within you. If you don't have that fear within you, you're not going to feel that, right? Because it's just information. It's not, you can't label information as fear, like it's just information. Right. And when that information triggers something inside of you that sparks fear, that's when you know you need to look at that and heal whatever that is, right? When I was first coming around and learning that I could possibly have attachments, because I was struggling for so long to heal my body, to heal from anxiety, to heal from depression and PTSD and like chronic pain and illness and infinite number of physical symptoms, like really, really struggling to heal. I started to feel like maybe there was something else going on, that there was this was like my introduction into learning about attachments and entities. And everywhere I looked in the spiritual community, it was like, well, if you believe that, it's true.
And who the hell wants that?
Right. And who wants to believe that?
Me.
Right. Right. Who wants to believe that you have dark entities attached to you causing physical, mental, and spiritual issues? No one wants to believe
like you've
that.
chosen the suffering, like you've manifested the suffering through your creations.
Right.
And you're making it come more into fruition because you believe it, or you're bringing it into your vibration and energy space.
Right. Right.
That's weird, right?
I mean,
it's logically thinking, like if you just step back and think about it for a second, it's like Q and Ono Rider.
Right. It's like, who would want to manifest that? Like, is it true that we create our realities? Yes, to some degree. That's absolutely true. But there's also an objective reality, collective consciousness that we live within that is already created.
Correct.
So whether you believe in entities or not, they don't care.
Yeah, they're going to.
And it's better for them. Right.
Yeah.
And it's better for them if you don't believe in them, right? Because then they just get to keep
feeding into your programming
and working in the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
because they can only exist in the shadows. It's only when we shine our light on them that they no longer have power over us. So when I was first learning about this and considering the possibility that I could have attachments, the spiritual community was so invalidating for me because it was a lot of those kind of beliefs. Well, yeah, if you believe you have entities, then maybe you do, or you created them yourself, or I don't know. There's so many like things like that that they say, beliefs that they ascribe to because of the fear of looking at these things.
Right.
I was only able to find one other person one other, especially quantum healing practitioners at the time. There was no one talking about these things.
Is that how we got into RSR?
Yeah.
Via
No.
that string? No.
Well, yeah, eventually that led us down that string. But the one practitioner I found was Aurora from Rising Phoenix, Aurora.
Yes.
And she had a hypnosis session on her channel. I believe they had they regressed back to Egypt, and the person had reptilian entities attached to her. And Aurora walked them through like how to clear these entities and things like that. And that was such a huge revelation for me. Like, okay, this is real. And this could be happening to me. And all of those like beliefs in the spiritual community, I was still working through them, right? Because I didn't want that reality for myself.
I didn't fucking want it either. And then I know we're connected. So I'm like, well, she got them. I fucking have them too, for sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the things about entities is like, they don't give a shit if you believe in them or not. Like that's not a requirement for you to have attachments.
Same for the light side too. They don't give a shit if you believe in them or not. They're
Right.
just there. They're just doing their job, existing and functioning as we are.
Right. So at the time, like that belief in entities was really being labeled as fear-based, a fear-based belief. If you believe in entities, that's fear-based. But if you look at it from a point of neutrality, that information is not fear-based. You can't have information that's fear-based. It's only because it's triggering innate fears in people. And a lot of people will tie it back to Christianity, and Christianity's talk about demons and things like that. And you have to wonder, okay, well, why? Why did they have beliefs in demons? Is there some truth in that? Right. Yeah. So
they have it all across the board. It's just that they've discovered their one, line of spirituality and high vibe stuff that they're like, well, we get to pick our roles and our reality.
Right.
So we're not going to add everything.
Right.
We're just going to have a checklist of things that we want.
Right.
Well, who the fuck doesn't want that? Who doesn't?
Right. And if we do, which they admit to, if we do live in a realm of duality and you believe in angels, benevolent angels, then you would have to believe in their equal and opposite. Right? Otherwise, you're just ignoring it, putting your head in the sand and pretending like it doesn't exist. And that drives me crazy because not only has it been my own experience, but all of the clients and people that we have met with and helped and talked to about their own experience with these entities, it is invalidating them as well. So, what triggered this conversation today was a post made by Dolores Cannon's Facebook page. Obviously, Dolores is not making these posts. I believe the page is run by her daughter, but I think there are other people involved as well. So I don't know who exactly made the post, but it was specifically calling out David Icke and his new book about the soul trap. And I forget the specific words used. Well, I can read it to you. Let's do that. Let me just find it real quick.
Great. Let's read. Oh, I think you're talking to me, right? Seeking Truth, 1984, Flawless Hair. No, it's like Tina's got nice hair too.
You like my flower?
Yes,
It
I
was
do.
Karen's suggestion. Okay, so this is the post. There is some reincarnation disinformation going around lately, and I feel it's very important to set the record straight. Set the record straight, as if they are the #1 authority on reincarnation. David Icke is 100% wrong about what he's been saying about reincarnation.
Sorry, I'm just gonna put my finger up here. How does one say like he's wrong? Like how is that, how are you spitting out facts when you have nothing to back it? Like just anyone saying like, well, I'm from this planet and I know the second in command of the GFL. Like how the fuck
Yeah.
do you know that?
Right,
How?
like that new guy Ismail Perez, which we can talk about too. Let me write a note about that.
Yeah, because I mean, when I was reading or watching that thing that you're watching when I was visiting, I God, I get such a body reaction, and it's not like I know already. Like my body's already like rejecting information, so I'm like, okay, you're not judgy. You're just it doesn't resonate, and it's like I don't have time for that.
Right.
And
Yeah.
to hear it like on a spinning wheel saying the same shit over and over and over. I swear to God, if anyone says that Trump won and that JFK's coming back and you know,
And
like
the GFL, it's like
the
literally,
JFL, yeah, we're saved. We just gotta wait at the bus stop soon.
no, we just got to wait for the solar flash because that's going to take us into 5D.
Oh fuck it. I'm done. I don't want to wait. Like, who has time? Like, I just bought groceries. I'm like, you know, waste that groceries. Like, I don't have time.
Okay, so let me finish
Fair.
this
Yeah, go
post.
ahead. Sorry.
Okay, and then we'll talk about that. Okay, we'll keep that on the back burner. Okay, so she goes on to, or they go on to say, there are no quote unquote demonic entities masquerading as your loved ones, trying to trick you into a soul trap when you die. The white light he claims is a trap, is how your silver etheric cord gets severed from your body when you die. If you don't, and if that's true, that would make sense as like the memory wipe, because if you're getting severed at that point, you know, then that could also be wiping your memory. There's a severing, which they're admitting occurs.
Mm-hmm.
Your etheric cord gets severed from your body when you die. If you don't go into that light, you remain on earth as a ghost. It is essential you enter that light to move on to heal, to move on to the next life and evolve your soul. This is fear being used to sell tickets to events, nothing more. What do you guys think about that? We know for sure that there are entities who masquerade as loved ones. People, we've seen that. We've seen that ourselves. Our clients have seen that, you know, when like Lana and specifically saw her mother show up to her in a vision.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she wants to connect with her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And next thing you know, the mother turns into a reptilian entity, you know? So it's just that reptilian trying to siphon the energy by pretending. There are countless accounts of that kind of thing happening. So we know that that happens. Like that's a fact. I think we can say that's an actual fact. That's something that we know that actually happens. What gets me is that she did say in the post, oh, well, how can we be the authority? Like someone was challenging them, right? How can you be the authority? None of us really know. And she says, well, over 50 years of past life regression. That's how we can be the authority. So I said, okay, if you believe that all of the information that came through in Dolores's 50 years of sessions is 100% fact, then you cannot discount information that comes through in other people's sessions like ours, right? So I commented, just, I was very general. I wasn't defensive or like trying to like be negative or like start
You're
anything.
usually not. You're usually pretty neutral at
I was
presenting
coming
information.
I was coming from a very neutral place, and I just said for myself, as a quantum healing practitioner myself, this is what we've seen, and we can't discount it. It wasn't a very long comment, maybe a little paragraph. And I noticed that there was no likes or anything on it. So I'm like, let me just go see if it's still there. And it was gone. She deleted it.
Yeah, I bet.
And so I left another comment saying, interesting that my comment was deleted. Like, why is that? Because this is actual information coming from quantum healing sessions that you put all of your weight into these sessions, right? So why are you discounting that information if this is how it's coming through? You know, we've seen false light councils. We've seen souls getting harvested upon death after being in a war. We've seen them getting trapped in physical objects and recycled and forced into bodies, human bodies. We've seen soul contracts being made with demonic entities that promise all the future offspring of that person to that entity. So then that entity owns that person and all the ancestry of that line. These are things that we've seen in session. So I commented back and, said that, just like, if you're going to believe everything that came from Dolores' sessions, then you have to take into account all the information, not just hers, because I do believe that to some extent, Dolores was being tricked by false light beings or demonic entities that were masquerading as higher selves or the subconscious or whatever you want to call it.
Right. There's no checking.
Right.
Back then.
No one
or even
was,
now, there's no checking.
Right. She wasn't verifying who that voice was speaking through that person. Yeah. So,
Right.
and I was actually heartened to see that there were some people in there that were questioning things, and then there were, of course, the majority of the people like, oh God, that's just so fear-based. If that's coming from Ike, then, just forget it and all of these things. But I'm like, if this information is coming into the collective consciousness in the way it is now, it's not just coming through us. When it started to come through us, we felt very alone and very ostracized from the community. It's not something that we were looking for.
I know. This is what I'm saying. Remember my last rant where I'm like, you think we want to be on the other side and against the grain? Like, you think that's easy? It's fucking not easy for us. If you go back to our first videos, we talk about all the traumas, all our points of vulnerability. And this is where it has led us to discovering truth, even if it goes against our own current belief systems.
Right.
Like, we have to question our belief systems at every turn.
Right. And so, she goes on to say, Dolores, in the comments, Dolores was very clear that we each get to create our own heaven after we die. And it can be based on Buddhist beliefs or Hindu or Christian or whatever you believe heaven to be, that's what you can create. And that is very much true. But what they don't take into account is that those realms are still part of the matrix. There's still realms of thought being honored by form.
I think that's where there's a huge divide in in a lot of people, unless they're able to grasp the matrix concept. There's not going to be another thought outside of that construct, because they're not even taking that into consideration, that there are multiple higher dimensions of heaven, but in this matrix, like, you have to end it in that sentence knowing that this is an inversion. And so you can go to the 50th dimension, like, oh, you know, palace of jewels and casinos, but
Yeah.
you're going to end up on a fucking conveyor belt sometime
On your way back.
when you're done.
Yeah. And that's what I think they don't get it at all, because they're not even considering that this could be true, that not everything is like dark and demonic, you know, like these are light beings, but they're still part of the system.
Yeah, just because they say they're light beings. Again, you can have like a really cute little gizmo come to you, but then after
he eats the candy,
yeah, it turns into a little fucking shithead.
Yeah, we should talk about that too. The gremlins. Gremlins are real, guys. Let me just go through the comments real quick. Hi, Abstract Angel. How are you?
Yeah, last trip. I'm hoping. Oh yeah. So while you're looking at the comments, just want to share my latest endeavor. I know we've always talked about protection, which is also very important. We still encourage protection. But I felt like some kind of like energetic shift because I was asking for guidance in just with my own higher knowing, like how can I absolutely bring myself to a space where I'm confident of getting out of here. So of course you got to bring your unconscious, subconscious to light. You have to be able to explore all parts of you and discover what's in there so that it can't be held against you, right? Knowing all your points of vulnerability, knowing what it feels like when it's out, allowing for your body to have those reactions so that you can kind of put an end, like a healing type end to it, or recognizing it. So yeah, I felt like, okay, I've done the hardcore protection, you know, like for our family and all that. And I even stopped myself, like even part of the prayer is, or the prayer I'll call prayer, is I command not to dream. I command not to astral travel or whatever. I command to stay in my physical body, not to be or be manipulated in mind, body, soul consciousness across all the time and space, a multi-dimensional reality within my subconscious, conscious, and etheric. Like, I'll say it all. And so I think that worked for a bit, but then I'm like, wait a minute. I go, I ain't getting any, you know, I'm gonna die eventually. And if I keep saying this, I know I'm missing a couple of pieces within my labyrinth inside. So I feel like I'm strong enough that, yeah, I'm not full. I mean, I, as the adult, am not fully terrified of demons and things like that. I do have to work on it on the sleep time because I have been attacked. I have had physical reactions. I have had like fear in my body. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? You're just going to stop the protection, at least like the extent of your commands in your protection. And you're just going to go all in. And ask for the subconscious to be conscious so that way I could be aware of what's going on. I took a couple of the pointers that Tina shared with me about the lucid dreaming stuff, because again, if we are out of body and, you know, after we die, we have to, I guess, be able to grasp that if, you know, the dream space, which is where I need to fucking get a grip of it.
Yeah.
So that because when I'm clearly dreaming, I don't know that I'm dreaming, right? So yeah, I think that that hardcore dream that I had where I was in a really bad demonic space, I had a really bad reaction to it where my body was completely paralyzed in fear and I cried after because that's how scary it was to me. So yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a great place to start. At least I know where I need work. So to go where the fear is, so that if I am ever faced with it, then I will be able to stand up to it.
Yeah.
On a conscious way.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And that's really important too, because I think a lot of times in our sleep, they're targeting our inner child, right? Like the adult self is obviously not afraid of these things, but they're targeting the inner child and the fractured parts of ourselves. That's how they slip in.
Exactly. So I'm allowing for them to, I think I did enough work so far that I will be able to handle what is to come. So that way I'll just be a little more aware about it. and
Yeah.
where I need to do the work so that I can, not be in that space of fear.
Yeah. So getting back to Dolores's work, I just want to say that I love Dolores. I love her work. I think it's amazing. And the way it has rippled out and expanded consciousness across this earth is something that cannot be denied. You cannot take that from her. But this is like, um, I guess like another step in our evolution of our spirituality and understanding, right? Like at the time, that's where they were. But what the team that is still running that is doing is keeping people stuck there and not
So that they can be
allowing,
dependent on.
right, and not allowing for the evolution to naturally take place past these ideas.
I think that's the problem with people, is that they're still being held back by, fear of someone outgrowing them, not needing them anymore, being, or having that that inferiority type,
Right.
that
And
kind of shit.
they're not even evolving the QHHT process at all. It's still exactly the same as when Dolores was here. That's not how consciousness works. Like it doesn't remain the same. We're constantly evolving. And really, that's why Candace came out with Beyond Quantum Healing, to remove the restrictions from the practitioners and open up that space for exploration where there are no limitations anymore. You can talk to entities, you can do whatever you want in your practice.
Right.
You make your BQH practice your own. Whatever you want to specialize in, that's what you do, and it removes the restrictions for having to have in-person sessions. I mean, everything's online these days. The fact that you can't have a QHHT session online is like archaic at this point.
Yeah.
It really is. So I feel like that the consciousness that is there in that, whatever you want to call that, in her legacy, is they're keeping it stuck and not allowing for it to expand in the natural way that it could. Because if it was allowed to expand naturally, these ideas, this new consciousness would be coming in to sessions. But because they're not even open to the possibility, it doesn't come to them. Or maybe it does to some practitioners, but they have to keep it on the down low. I've heard some practitioners say that there are certain things that they're not even allowed to talk about in those groups, or they'll get kicked out and they'll take their certification away if they even mention entities or anything dark or evil. Dolores denied that there was anything dark or evil at all. So if you deny that there's dark or evil,
then you go against the god Dolores.
yeah. And if that were true for her, then she could have been talking to entities the whole time, and they could have been telling her all kinds of misinformation because she wasn't aware that that could be happening. Because the idea that we have of these dark entities is that they're going to growl at you and be malicious and all of those things.
They do sometimes. I'm just saying. But but it's nothing when you're exposed to it.
If you're challenging them, they do. If you're challenging them, they do. Otherwise, they could be talking like you and I.
But the way that they are responding to it is very entity-like.
Yes. Yes. Mostly what we're dealing with in this realm is manipulation, is gaslighting. It's not overt in your face, like slap you across the face abuse. It's the difference between an overt narcissist and a covert narcissist. This system is a covert narcissist. It is manipulating us and gaslighting us and poisoning us silently. There's a war, a silent war against us. They're not like, in our face. Now they are. They're getting more bold as time moves forward and things are getting worse to where the point where they're, adding bugs in our food right under our noses and we don't even know. Food is changing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I mean, the quality of the food is just getting worse and worse, and they're adding bugs to it now. If you see anything in your food called sustainable, it could have bugs in it, or the word chitin, I think it's pronounced, which is a chemical that is toxic to humans, comes from bugs. And they're just trying to poison us in any way they can. So spiritually, we're evolving to a place now where we're observing how the covert narcissist is working. And if spiritual people believe in as above, so below, and you look around at what's happening now on the earth, then how can you think that the higher realms are just, rosy and fine? There must be some.
You can't deny the world that we're in.
Right. It must be coming from somewhere. If we know that things manifest in spirit first and then come down into the physical, then it has to be coming from somewhere. How can you look around at the evil in the world, the child torture and abuse? Lisa sent me a video last week, I think it was, and it was Jesse Zaboter talking about the abuse that, I don't even know if abuse is there has to be a word like worse than abuse. The torture that these children from these like satanic families endure. The torture, the abuse, the killing of these children. How I have a problem with the idea that a soul would choose that. That pure innocence of a child basically getting raped. That is an evil that I can't wrap my head around someone choosing for themselves. And that's literally their life. Being abused, tortured, and raped. That is their life. There's nothing outside of that. That's what they live for the short amount of time that they're here, and that's it. Why would a soul choose that? And
Maybe they're NPCs.
Yeah, but if they were, they wouldn't be able to use them for their rituals because they need the pure essence of spirit. And there are people that will come through and say that the channelers that will say that the children, the souls chose this so that they could wake us up, that they made this sacrifice so that they could wake us up. But how could that be true? Because all of this is happening underground. We don't see it. Nobody knows. It's happening in the darkness. The only reason why it's coming to light now is because there's like 1 or 2, 3 people that are talking about it, maybe. So I feel like what we're doing and what we do in abusive relationships is we make excuses for our abusers. That's what we do because that's what we know. If that's all we know as a child, as an adult, whatever, because it starts in childhood, right? That's what we know as love. And we make excuses for the people that are abusing us because they're traumatized too, and we understand the reasons why they're doing this to us. So we make excuses for them. But that time has come to an end. We're not making excuses for abusers anymore. We understand that they're also traumatized. We might have compassion for them, but we're not accepting the abuse anymore. Bottom line, we're not accepting the abuse from an individual, from a corporation, from a company, from the government, from the overlords, from entities, from anyone. Like we're done accepting the abuse. And this is where we're evolving our consciousness beyond the idea, the belief that we need to evolve our souls through suffering, through trauma. We don't. Because if you, because first of all, these physical lives that involve the amount of trauma that happens here on earth can actually degrade the soul. Not evolve the soul, but degrade the soul, because most people aren't learning from their trauma. It's only the highly evolved souls that are actually learning from their suffering and trauma, but most people aren't.
No,
So
they're
that,
just repeating.
yeah. So they're repeating and repeating and repeating. So that's actually leading to the degradation of their being, not the evolution. And that's why there's so much, mental illness, and everything is devolving. Everyone's devolving because of the degradation of the soul. And there's also a belief in the spiritual community that it doesn't matter what we do here. It doesn't matter. There's no wrong or right choices. Everything's fine in the grander scheme of things. And maybe on the highest level it is. But where we're at right now, like that's just not acceptable anymore.
Yeah.
Like we're evolving out of that whole belief system and paradigm. Hold on, I gotta let Cup go.
Oh, what? I was listening. What is happening here? Well, yeah, just take what resonates and leave the rest. It'll stop a lot of heartache, I feel. Just ignore the whole chat.
Why?
No, there's just a lot of back and forth that it's go ahead. I'm listening to you.
Oh. Um yeah, Lisa, I agree. It does matter what we do here, and everything that we do in physicality affects our soul. The fact that there's no right choice or no wrong choice is really a slippery slope, because then we make excuses for everything, for others, for ourselves, and we're not taking accountability for our choices. We're bypassing it because it doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong. And this idea you can see getting firmly planted within the collective consciousness now.
No accountability.
Yeah. No accountability for self, not taking responsibility. It's everyone else's fault, like all of those kinds of things. And where we're going and trying to also, put our ideas out there so maybe it will help someone else, is taking full responsibility. Because even though, there's a lot of trauma and abuse here, we still need to take responsibility for ourselves. That doesn't, and not fall into the perpetual victimhood that this can create. Because when you come across the soul trap theory, and I can see why a lot of people and practitioners are hesitant to talk about this kind of thing. Because if a spiritually immature person comes across this information without having the wisdom of learning through their trauma and learning through their suffering and coming to a place of neutrality and self-love and compassion, you learn that this place could be a soul trap, that could totally throw you off, and send you in a spiral of perpetual victimhood where everything is always the fault of the archons and you have no responsibility at all. It also induces a lot of fear in people. Do I think the concept in itself is fear-based? No, because I don't believe in that. I don't believe information is fear-based, but I do know that it can trigger deep, deep-seated fears in people. And those are the fears. This is an opportunity for healing. If you find that the soul trap theory is sparking like a huge amount of fear within your system, then that's good. You need to look at that fear, find out where it's coming from, do the healing, do the releasing so that you can come into your sovereignty and your power as a whole and complete spirited being. And know that you are so much more powerful than all of it. But you don't just have to believe that. You have to know that and feel it in the very fiber of your being. And that's why Karen was talking about like asking for her unconscious stuff to come up in her dreams so that she has the opportunity to look at it and clear it and be more powerful, be more sovereign. That doesn't, you don't just get to say, I'm sovereign and that's it. Like it doesn't work that way.
Decided. I wish. Then we would have been sovereign a long time ago.
Yeah, it's not just something you can say. You have to do the inner work. You have to do the shadow work. If there are parts of yourself that you've cast aside and just don't look at because you've been told by the world that they're not worthy, then that's a vulnerability. They're going to play on your shame. They're going to play on your unworthiness. They're going to pick all of those things, you know, and use them against you. So
I am awake. Sorry, I shut my body. Prepare for lucid dreaming. Oh, look, Mike's here. Hi, Mike. It's been a while.
oh, hi, Mike. Really good to see you. Okay, so the tunnel thing. I think the tunnel and the white light, the hyper focus on that, I really believe is a distraction because I feel like, and from what we've seen in our sessions, the afterlife is going to be different for everyone. I can only speak for myself and where I'm at right now. We are never telling anyone what to do or what not to do. This is an individual journey that each person has to take. And where I'm at right now is that now my job here is to continue to do the inner work, to gain as much wisdom as I can while I'm here through using our challenges and using the adversity to alchemize that, to learn how to be an alchemist. It's all about the alchemy in this realm. Is it a school? No. Okay, we all agree that. I don't want to like trigger anyone out there.
There's a lot of that going on. Like,
yeah.
What? You gotta learn here?
Yeah. We all agree that Earth is not a school. However, you have to do the work while you're here. This is how we ascend through Earth. If you don't take
That's how you graduate.
That's how you graduate. If you don't take any of the challenges and alchemize them, then you're just going to continue to be recycled.
They'll use it against you.
Right. So you have to transcend them. While you're here, you have to do the work. That's the only way out. It's the only way out of this game or whatever, this simulation, whatever you want to call it.
Because they will use everything against you to stay here. That's how we were here in the first place.
Right. So if you harmed someone in the past and you're still carrying guilt and shame about that, and you haven't forgiven yourself, you haven't forgiven that other person, they're going to use that and say, well, you know, in your life review or whatever, and show you this thing that happened and be like, well, now you have to go back and redo that. But if you go into the afterlife, leaving the body with full forgiveness for all of your past wrongs, all of your past mistakes, having rectified all of your relationships, even if it's not necessarily with the other person, like you don't need to go to your abuser and say, I forgive you. But you have to, at some point, find the forgiveness in your heart for that person. At some point, like forgiveness is the final step. There are a lot of things you have to work through before you get there. And at some point, you might even find gratitude for what that abuser gave to you, for how you found yourself through that adversity. And I know that's a really controversial thing to say, but it's true. And if you don't eventually find that forgiveness, that anger, that resentment within you is going to be an anchor when you leave the body. It's not going to allow you to fly home. It's going to anchor you here. This is why doing the inner work is so important. So my goal now is to do those things, to tie up the loose ends, to look back at my life and say, where did I go wrong? And have I forgiven myself for these things? You know, have I alchemized these experiences yet? Or are they still like hiding out there in the basement, you know, in the darkness?
That's where I'm looking.
Yeah, I think that's really a really important step. A really important step, because when you have those things that are in your energy field, they're going to anchor you here.
Totes.
Yeah, energetically, I'm talking. Energetically, they're heavy, heavy things to carry. And that's one of the reasons why I think we keep recycling back, because we're not releasing it all. We're taking it with us. This is why we do past life regressions and find that trauma is affecting me right now. That trauma from this past life that I've carried with me. That's why we do the work that we do, so that we can release them. Because we don't process through it all. So now it's about observing the clown show, the abusers, like having the higher perspective of like what's happening here, observing it, knowing the deception, knowing the manipulation, knowing the abuse, the trauma that they're inflicting upon us, but not just knowing it, healing from it. And then using that to your advantage, using that as a stepping stone into making the best of this life that you have. Because
That's what I'm trying to do now.
Yeah.
And I think I can balance both, you know, like being able to go into the dark stuff because of all the work that has been done, that now I want to enjoy the rest of my life here while I'm still here, however that much time is.
Yeah. And really stop taking life so seriously, because when you step back and do have the higher perspective and look at the fucking ridiculousness of it all, like you just have to laugh sometimes at some of this stuff. It's literally insane.
Right. I think
it's literally insane.
Right. I don't feel that, I mean, like what we were saying, I think we were lucky again enough to go through the steps that we did, to see everything and then take it and then move on. So yeah, I think to that is a learning process. That is, in a way, again, we're not allowed to use words like school. Okay, it's not a school, but it's learning. We're learning things. We're taking things. We're leaving it. We're gathering more things as we are evolving. The natural course of how we should be evolving, not in the stunted way where we're constantly traumatized and suffering and then having to learn the hard way in this non-school. It's like,
yeah,
we understand.
We are learning. I mean, if we weren't learning, we would be stunted. Of course, we're learning. Everything is about our learning and evolution and growth. I mean, the research you're doing, you're watching us right now, you're learning. Yeah, now there's a stigma
around calling it a school. We're not saying it's a fucking school, okay? Get over it. Not you, like whoever is offended by what I just said. It's not that. But it's like we are technically learning from each other, getting tricks on how the fuck to get out of here if that's your goal, finding ways, researching, presenting with things that we've learned in our sessions, gathering that kind of information to help. And is educate not allowed to be said? Like it, that's what I mean. Like I hate
that's weird.
I hate the limitations of the words that we are limited to. We are limited to words because it's so much of an attachment of like no. we don't associate this is evil here. Like, yeah, it is fucking evil here, but it could also be beautiful. On the contrary, like,
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it can be absolutely beautiful. So it's a polarizing place to be. I came across videos of this guy on YouTube who has an animal sanctuary in Africa. And I was just blown away by his connection with these beings. There's a pack of 6 lions, 3 lioness, and 3 male lions, 2 monkeys, and uh this hyena, which is the coolest being. Like you think of a hyena, you think of like Lion King or whatever, like, and they're made out to be like these weird, creepy animals, right? Um, but they're not. They're really, really beautiful and funny. And so I'm watching him
they're pretty
connect.
funny in Lion King.
Are they? Yeah.
They're funny.
Are they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if I've really seen Lion King, but yeah, I'm just watching him connect with these animals and just thinking, wow, like it's just so beautiful. Like to see that connection, to see how much these animals love him, and to think that there are still humans on this planet that think that animals don't have feelings.
Right. Well, they're just
That,
as playful, just as sad, just as happy, just as all the vast array of emotions. Or, yeah, it's crazy. Makes no
yeah,
sense.
yeah. Like I can't wrap my head around how a human being could look at an animal and think that it doesn't feel, doesn't have pain, doesn't feel sadness, doesn't feel happy. I saw another video of a woman who had raised lion cubs and the state took them away from her and put
Oh
them
my
in a
God, so
zoo.
sad.
Well, she went to visit them 7 years later and they literally like lost their shit. They saw her walking up and just like raced towards her and jumped on top of her and were just like licking her and rubbing their heads on her. And it was
Oh
just
my
the most
God, that's
beautiful
so
thing,
sad.
you know? Yeah, it is really sad. So just as much as there's sad things like that, I mean, seeing that love and connection is beautiful, you know? So we can't deny that beauty exists in this world. It absolutely does.
Right, but
Just
you're not in la la land. You're just aware of everything that's going on, whether positive or negative or whatever it is. It's all
right,
through your lens and perception. That is
right.
everything.
Yeah, your perception is literally everything.
Yeah,
Literally
that's a
everything.
determining factor if you're staying or not, if you're on that belt or not.
Right. And detachment is a really big thing too. Even detaching from any of these ideas of the soul trap and the white light and the tunnel and the entity, detaching literally from everything, from your body, from your family, from your friends, from the food, from the sex, from the addictions, from everything, like really beginning. And I think too, that's why a lot of us have been the black sheep in the family, have had really difficult lives, have lost our friends, have lost our businesses, have lost our careers, have lost everything. It's really like a preparation, a stripping away so that we don't have anything that's holding us here. So when we can step back and see it from the higher perspective, losing everything and having that quote unquote ego death of realizing that you don't need these material possessions, you don't need these attachments, like and moving into surrender, you know, like that's when you really feel free and non-attached to really anything, and you can just look at it all, observe it all without holding on too tightly to anything, even the soul trap theory, because it's just a theory. None of us know for real. All we can do is look at the evidence that is presented and come up with a theory, a possibility. But I really believe that each of us is going to have a unique experience upon leaving the body based on our level of consciousness at the time of leaving, with the intention of going home, like capital H home. And where I believe home is, for me personally, is the real world, or the pleroma, or, we're born from above. We're not born from here, this mimicked copy of creation, the mimicked copied bodies from our true ethereal forms in the real world. So my intention is going to be to return there.
I don't know.
And
I'm going back to.
I'm fully trusting upon, like, if I were to die tonight or tomorrow, like, I'm in full trust, no fear, because if we leave the body with fear, then you're definitely going to be caught up and recycled, because that vibration of fear is going to attract those entities. Right? So you have to be leaving the body in full trust in yourself and in life, that you will just be. I mean, consciousness can travel at the speed of light, or even faster, like instantaneously. So you could go from leaving your body to home in a split second. I think we have a lot of ideas of like having to, go somewhere and retrieve our memories and drop the astral body and like all these steps that need to happen. But if we, upon leaving the body, are going, instead of looking outside of ourselves for the light, for this, for that, going internally, I think the way out is within, through the portal within our hearts. That's what I think. And not looking to the outside, but really, truly going within. And of course, that's if we have the time to prepare for our death and it's not like a traumatic death or something instantaneously. But yeah, like I'm just holding on to the full trust that my consciousness knows where home is. And we all of ours do, because that's where we come from.
Yeah,
so
I believe I've seen it, like in my BQH session, where home is. Even if it's not an accurate picture of it, the feeling of it was very real to me.
that was weird. Did you hear that?
What? What? Don't scare me.
Sounded like a really loud vibration come through your microphone.
Oh, I didn't even touch it.
Yeah, weird.
Oh, well, maybe it's my home or an entity. I don't know.
I think it was your home. Probably your soul family. Yeah, and that feeling. So you should talk about that feeling of being home. What was that like for you?
Oh, wow. Well, for a little background of people, I thought I was emotionally dead inside and really completely disconnected with my feelings. But when I went into this space that Tina brought me to when we were doing the hypnosis, I landed in a space and it had physically, I could not take it. I felt so alive. I felt so connected. I felt so much love, I guess. Like the most love I've ever felt in my human body.
Like it was so much that the body couldn't even take it.
Yeah.
It
So
was like vibrating.
yeah, I was shaking hard. And yeah, that really demonstrated to me the energy, or how powerful it is, the energy in which our consciousness can connect to outside of the physical, and bringing it actually into the physical. My physical body came with my consciousness to that traveling space and able to hold, to experience it. So yeah, that blew my mind. I feel like that experience was the first step at opening up my heart into accepting, because of course of all my traumas and things like that, I had a heart wall. I was like, no sorry, Bob, like don't come close to me. But a big wall out there that was preventing me from really deeply connecting here within myself. That blew everything open for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was really profound experience in, to feel that, because I don't even think, yeah, I feel like in the collective consciousness that we currently exist in, I would say not even, maybe 1 out of 10 may have experienced like some kind of form of love like that, maybe, if I'm being
I don't think
generous.
that many.
I don't, yeah, that's it. I don't think so, because of how much people are traumatized and how it's rolling that way through
And
people's trauma.
the heart is targeted because
Totally.
like that's been coming up a lot too. The heart is the strongest center in the body.
Mhm.
It's like 5,000 times the electromagnetic field around it is like 5,000 times stronger than the brain, right? And what do they have us do? They have us focusing on the brain. Even the chakras, the way they're lined up, we see that the crown is the highest level to attain, and it's purple, right? In frequency. They tell us that it's purple. But what we've seen lately is that the heart has been coming through as purple. And the heart is the portal to home.
Yes.
The heart is the portal to everything. The heart is so much more important than the brain or the crown and why do they have us focusing on it? In materialism, they have us focusing on, logic, reason, analyzing everything. Even like what we're doing right now, analyzing everything is coming from the brain, the mind. But where we need to be is in the heart space. The heart is so much stronger. And when you
Yeah.
emanate that, it affects everything around you. It can, the field can stretch as far as you want it to stretch. As
Right.
far as you project it, and people around you can feel it. And so what does this matrix do? It targets the heart.
Oh yeah. And it blocks it, and it does everything to prevent it from expanding, from feeling, because that is where our yeah, that's the bridge for everything within
Yeah,
our vessel, mind, body, soul, spirit, consciousness. All of it is bound by the heart.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So upon leaving the body, like my plan is to go there, to go within the heart, to find home, not to be looking outside of me. And healing the heart, I think, is paramount to our healing, right? And learning how to feel again, not being afraid to feel. Why are you smiling?
Well, it's just a good old reflection of where I was stunted for a long time, as are many, and how that is the key. Wherever we have resistance or fear around or whatever, any resistance, that's exactly where you need to go. We say that all the time.
Right. And that can go for other things too, like the soul trap. If that's bringing up fear for you, then you need to look more deeply at it and see why. Because there could be something inherent within you that knows that there could be some truth in it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's good. Oh, funny. Oh, great news. I got a call from my doctor today to say that my test came out negative. So
Oh,
they called early
that's good.
because I demanded.
You put your intention out there.
Yeah. I'm like, could you just take me out of my misery and just let me know before I start creating things that I shouldn't be creating.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to bring up, because the power that we have to create while still in physical form. I don't know if you guys, I mean, we beat up these meat suits and, it's just an avatar. Yes, it's all those things, but it's also an amazing piece of technology when you
Right.
know how to tap into its potential and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly. I don't like holding a meat suit either. It's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Because again, it's tied to this matrix. So the meat suit comes with the matrix. So you
Mhm.
automatically have to hate it. But sorry, Bo, ready, like you're in this body. So you gotta either you work with it or it goes against you for the rest of your life.
Right. And we got to work with what we got, right? Like we got to work with what we got while we're here. And the
Work
body.
it. And work it.
And the body is one of those things. And the way we tap into the body is through intention. Our thoughts do manifest in the body. And I don't know if anyone's noticing how quickly our thoughts are manifesting lately.
Maybe it's just
Like
us.
maybe it's just us, but it literally feels like instantaneous manifestation. So we have to be really careful. I mean, look, Karen was supposed to get her test results back on the 13th. She put the intention out there yesterday to get them now, and she got them today. That's an example, one little example of how powerful we are.
Yeah, and she's on vacation. She's like,
Yeah.
I just thought to call you. And I was like, and she's like, but nothing to worry, it's negative. And I'm like, really, doctor? I was like, well, have a great vacation. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to call me.
Yeah. Yeah. So we can change our realities. We absolutely have the capability. And to make the best out of it while we're here, I mean, personally, for myself, that's what I want. Like, I want as much peace and contentment and joy as possible. Like, I've already done the suffering, lots of it, lots.
Yeah, she has. So have I, but in other ways, that's why now I'm making a conscious choice of wanting to do more work, but at the same time balancing out the quality of my life by, living like if this is it, if this is our last week, our last showdown, hoedown, whatever, like I want to fucking go out with a bang. That way, when my death comes, I'm going to bust out of here. I don't care where the door is. I'm breaking a hole. Like, I'm getting out. Like, and they're not going to deny me my right to get out. Like.
You have now. I think this is why like quantum healing sessions are so important. Like you can go into a session with the sole intention to feel what home feels like again. What does home feel like to you? We talked about that session we had with the man a couple weeks ago. That was the one with the light blinking on and off, the video that was posted at the end. We should just post that clip. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. He got to visit his home. And even though it might not be the water or the actual beach or whatever, he got to experience the feeling of that, which is more important than the visuals or any of that. It's the feeling of home. Just the way you did in your session, got to experience that in your body and the emotion that brought forward. You cannot fake that.
No, and I can't fake shit.
No, you're bad.
I know. It's like, I am not a good actress. I feel love. Like, that's what it would have sounded like. But no, you could not deny the emotional aspect of what it had brought to me. Whether it was an actual place I visited or whatever. The feeling, like not attaching to what I had seen, it's the feeling you could not deny.
And from that point on, like, because you at that point were always searching for home outside of you, looking for it in other people, places, things, whatever.
Yeah.
and not finding it because the world's just so fucking disappointing.
It is, right? I'm watching Indian Matchmaker right now on Netflix.
Oh my God.
It's so good. And I get why Amanda recommended it. It's so like I don't want to think, but you can see it's a great observation place, like where certain consciousnesses are in terms of culture and whatever, and where they are stunted. It's cool to see. I'm saying for research purposes only. And also there's an entertainment factor. But apart from that, it's just interesting to see how far we are as a collective when there is people who are not just, you know, from this culture per se, but many multiple cultures that are held back because of a belief system. And like it's crazy. You gotta watch one episode with me.
I will. I will. So Mike said he's had a few instances in the last week. I think you're talking about manifesting, Mike. That's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. And Lisa is saying you got to clear the shit to be able to manifest. And that's very true too. And maybe that's why we can manifest so quickly. It's because we've cleared so much of our shit. You know, it's constant work in progress. And we do this as hard as it is to face the shadows and to dig deep inside of yourself. It makes your life better. That's just the bottom line.
It does. You feel so much better. And again, I was very much in my victimhood. Okay. I'm always like to put that. Like I have like my own staple place, love feeling sorry for myself, hated everybody, and blamed everyone for my demise. But you know, you see that don't work anymore. So
yeah, because no one gives a shit.
right. No one gives a shit about you. It's
Mm-mm.
true. So I had to kind of put that because, you know, I thought the whole world revolved around me to a certain degree. It did a little bit for a bit. At least
Yeah.
you know, that's what I told myself.
Mhm.
And then Tino was like, no one gives a shit. Well, fine. Burst my bubble. But it's true. People don't. Um, so yeah, I had to try to do some work on that. And then you get results, but it was a commitment and a decision I had to make for myself. A commitment and a decision and a change in perspective. A potential that the lens that I have been looking at have been deceptive and dirty and wrong. Well, wrong for me, for my quality of life.
Yeah.
And that my old methods of blaming and shaming and, you know, feeling sorry for myself were not getting me anywhere because no one's ever going to, you know, sweep up all your shit for you. No one's gonna fucking do it. They will to a certain degree, but then it's like, you know, the chronic complainers are like complaining about the same shit all the time. You feel sorry for them in the beginning, you give them your advice, they don't take it, and then they go to someone else, someone new, blah blah blah. Here, this is all my stuff, and then it feeds you to a certain degree, but in the end it's not sustainable because you're just going to go through the whole population and realize that no one gives a fucking shit what you just said. Like no one cares, no one's going to help you, or you have to be the only one to help yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I did it.
Yeah.
And it has helped. All you've seen me grow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been what, like 2.5 years of watching it grow on YouTube.
Yes. Don't watch the old videos, people. I talk about the old videos.
Don't talk about them.
Well, you
Okay.
said it.
So, and that is partially, or that is also coming out of the savior programming, which is so huge here on Earth.
Yeah.
The idea.
The savior fucking program. Like, where are you, Don? Don for Prezzo. Like, 2024. He's not my president. Like,
Yeah. When you realize that literally that whole thing is all an illusion.
psyop. Everything's a psyop. No matter what side. Blue, red, yellow, pink. Like, whatever color you pick. Whatever side you pick. It's all a fucking psyop.
Yeah. And yeah, so and you got the president, you have the Galactic Federation that's saving everyone, you have Jesus coming back. What else? There's so many different saviors.
Oh,
like
Nasara
and Jasara, Q, like
the fake new king.
the military. Oh, the fake new king. Yeah, what was his name?
You were friends with him on Facebook. I remember when that whole thing came about. And then we watched the YouTube video and people were like eating that shit up. And I was like, how? I go, don't you feel it in your body? Like it's so cringy.
Right.
George, no, Gregory
Greg.
Hallett.
Greg. Yeah.
Greg.
He's
And
gonna be the new king.
and
And I'm
even
like,
his family was like, he's not a king. Like he's not a king. And he's saying that he is because he got his papers notarized by that he wrote.
yeah. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
But this is like how people are still just falling for stuff. I'm like, first of all, why would we need a new king? Isn't that a consciousness that we're leaving behind, right? If Earth
So
is
old.
evolving, we
So
need a
old.
ruler, we need a king. That's what you're telling me. We're going to replace the lizard lady for this new lizard guy. Like what?
Queen Elizabeth.
It's just so like it blows my mind. But I guess it's because it's just like the split in the consciousness is the gap in the consciousness is so huge, you know? Like here we are examining this the possibility that this could be a soul trap, and then you have like that, and you're like, what's happening? You know?
Yeah. It was really interesting to observe all that stuff though.
Yeah.
Like that was a really interesting period I find for us as we're researching through things. I had a great old time watching those documentaries about what was that thing
The
called?
fall of the cabal.
Yeah, I loved that whole series. I thought it was so well done and
Yeah.
interesting. And I'm sure that there's a lot of pieces in there that are very factual.
Yeah.
But then the last piece of like the drum roll of like JFK's alive. And I'm like, come on now. What's that gonna do for me? I'm fucking Canadian.
Right, that's the other thing. Like Princess dies, gonna save us, and JFK's alive. Elvis is like, I'm like,
Okay.
come
And even
on.
if they are,
And like all
Why-
the bad ones are dead. They're just
right.
clones.
Yeah, there's a whole list. I could have
Yeah.
fucking written that damn list.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're Guantanamo Bay, and then that whole analysis of that last post or whatever when Tom Hanks and what's her face were his wife, where everyone is just like, yeah, they're at Guantanamo Bay, and I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? Like, has anyone been to Guantanamo Bay? Like, no.
Yeah.
They're there and they're dead, and I'm like, well, even if they are, like their clones are still here carrying out and eating the same children. Like, but there's no fucking difference.
Right.
The clones are still doing the same work, even if they're not there or not. Like,
Right. Yeah.
like Madonna's dead, but they all look alive and well to me.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk too about what being spiritual is. Because there's a lot of belief that to be spiritual, you have to think, act, eat a certain way.
Right.
And if you're not in alignment with that, then you're not spiritual enough, you know? And a lot of people see, this is what we're healing from, this idea that we have to be loving and compassionate and all the time, like no matter what's happening, and make excuses for the people that are
there's
that
some
have
days where I feel like bitchy.
that have abused us, and we do that under the guise of having to be spiritual, not feeling our anger, or not allowing ourselves to feel the resentment, or to feel some of the what is labeled lower vibrational emotions to come up. You know, righteous anger is a propellant. It's what leads you into action. If you don't allow yourself to feel angry, you're kind of just like a floppy fish all the time. Just like allowing people to walk all over you.
Floppy fish.
Yeah.
True.
That's the visual I got.
No, I love that. You've said that to me before, and I'm like, fuck yeah. It's true.
Yeah, and people suppress those feelings because it's not spiritual. I don't know where these ideas really have come from.
And they get really angry when you say, what does that mean? Like, that's not spiritual. What does
Yeah,
that fucking mean? What does that mean? And they can't answer
right. Because they
because
don't
we're not
even
like this all the
know.
time. Ooh,
Right. Not sitting in a cave meditating. Like
for 3 hours.
that's at least not the modern day spirituality. That might have been like old spirituality. But then that proverb comes to mind. What is it called? Like before enlightenment, chop wood or something, chop wood and carry wood. I don't know. It's something like that. And then after enlightenment, chop wood and carry wood. That's not it, but you get the idea. It's like you have to be grounded in physicality and, not just be off like meditating for 12 hours a day or
And getting out of body.
pretending and getting out of body and pretending like you love everyone. And which, of course, like I have love for people, but I'm also authentic to myself. This is what I'm getting to. Spirituality for me, and I think where we're heading is about being authentic. It's about shedding all the layers of all the stuff, even the spiritual stuff that we've picked up that isn't ours. We've been told that we need to be in these ways, but we're not really being authentic to ourselves because we're
Right.
suppressing and bypassing what we're actually feeling. Like I'll see a lot of like really passive aggressive comments on like Tony Sayers videos, when he's like calling out the new agers, and people will say things like, oh, you just don't I hope you understand one day, or like just really like passive aggressive things like that. And then just like you instead of saying like you're an asshole and I don't like your video, they like do it in a roundabout way because they have to be spiritual instead of being real.
Like, your root chakra is very cracked, Tony Sayers.
Yeah.
Shame. Your
Yeah.
chakra colors are not vibrant.
Yeah. And for us, I feel like the
We're like,
spiritual.
good. We have no chakras. Thanks for your opinion. You're like, your Kundalini snake is all tangled. Well, we don't have that either. What else? Next.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about that real quick. We try to just like shove so much stuff into one video because we don't come on enough.
I know. So much
Yeah.
happens in between.
Yeah.
And yeah, we never write it down.
So this is really interesting. We had a session with someone who is from a fairy realm. She was a fairy, and she was actually stolen and trapped from that realm and taken and forced into a human body, is what we saw. This was her first or second life here. We also saw that she's dating a narcissist who has an entity that is working through him, which it's pretty obvious that most of these people are part of the Black Heart program. And that's when these narcissists are inhabited by entities. I believe that the entity that it's inhabiting her boyfriend is so we saw in our session that he's an empty vessel for this demonic entity to come through, to suppress her, to steal her light, to siphon her energy, just to keep a cap on her because she's so pure of heart and vibrating at a high frequency. The more trauma they can throw on her to keep her vibration down, the better. That's what they want, to keep her down. Now we saw that she had a hook in her sacral that went from, so the day before we had an RSR and saw that she had this like cord in her third eye, right? That was like corded to this entity. And then in her session, we saw that there was a hook and she was like full of snakes and parasites. And it was as if the hook in the sacral was hooked into the kundalini and going up and porting into the third eye. so that this being could then create a sexual attraction and then siphon the sexual energy. So then after that session, this is crazy. I watched a video by M Seeker of Truth, who like investigates people, especially people like Simon Parks. He's done a lot of investigative type videos on him, who turns out to be a real creepy guy who has a reptilian that works through him, who he calls his dad. If you see the clip of him talking about, like, he's doing an interview with this woman, and he's talking to her about how his dad, the reptilian, showed him at 6 years old how to etherically rape and have sex with women that were non-consenting. He literally says that out loud to this woman. I'm like, are you hearing yourself? But anyway, the people that have joined his group, collective consciousness, there's about 100,000 people that follow him in this group, including some pretty spiritual people and practitioners.
Right.
So all these women started to come forward saying that they've been attacked by him in their sleep and while they're in bed, like they could feel him inside of them, raping them. And there was like nothing they could do about it. They weren't protected. And so they started coming out, and this guy, M Seeker of Truth, was like gathering their information and did a 3-part series on Simon Parks and what's happening in this group with these psychic attacks. Because what they're doing is gathering all of these people so that they can then siphon the energy and harvest the sexual energy from these vulnerable women. The one commonality between all of them is that they're vulnerable in some way. So that just shows you there that they really do prey on the vulnerable. So these women are coming forward, and there's some men in the group, and one of the men is a shaman, and he's very much aware of like psychic protection practices and things like that. And he was going to do like, so he started hearing like the ramblings of what was happening to some of the women. And he was going to put on a workshop to help people learn about psychic protection, how to protect themselves. Well, that day, there was like 12 people that signed up. That day, 10 of them canceled. And they were all women and men from the collective consciousness group. Some of them had their tires slashed. There were other like weird things that had happened and all of that. But the people that did show up, the couple people that did show up, he found on one same exact thing we saw in our session with our client, the hook in the sacral, into the kundalini, and up to the third eye. It was the same device, which I thought was wild. Like, that is obviously common tactic that they use to implant women and then harvest the energy from them. So if any of you are having like nighttime attacks or sexual attacks, definitely do a body scan, look for those things and remove them. If you need help, you could always reach out to us too. But I just thought, wow, what a disgusting person. Like, I'm sorry, like if people think that I'm judging him, but I am. I am.
He's gross.
That's disgusting.
That's not right.
He's a predator.
Right.
He's a predator.
Yeah.
And this is where we are. We're not defending predators anymore. Do I have compassion for him? Yeah, but I'm not going to defend a predator, and he needs to be exposed because he's actively harming people and raping them.
He knows exactly
astrally.
what he's doing.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
I don't know if I have compassion.
He knows exactly
Especially
what he's
when you
doing.
know exactly what you're doing.
Especially when you hear him say it in his own words, how this reptilian showed him how to do it. And then not only the rape part, but he showed him how to eat someone.
What? What
Yeah.
do you mean? Like physically?
Yeah. Well, no, astrally eat them. But he said that the woman he was eating was like screaming hysterically.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So if he was doing that at 6 years old, imagine the stuff that he's into now.
Just see something. Again, like, wow.
Do you want to take like a minute break?
Yeah, you can go. I'm just gonna answer a question here by Sam. She
Okay.
wanted to know, or they wanted to know a little bit about how, like, removal, chakra removal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just talk about it. Yeah. So how that's done, let me see here. Yeah, do we teach how to do this? Well, we're not really in a teaching space, but I mean, like, usually, like, we've only started, or I think we only had one client really that came to us to who asked, like, can I remove the chakras? And I had gone into session with her already, that I had guided her into how to do it. So she was able to visualize it through her mind's eye, and I was guiding her through it and making sure that she was removing it. And it was really good because she's like, "Oh, I would just do it real quick." I'm like, "No, no, no, you need to do it slow so that you know that you didn't, leave a little piece, or like it's not worth it to leave that behind, especially if you want it removed fully, right?" Um, but yeah, we could usually guide you into doing it if you feel more empowered to do it yourself, or we remove it, like we could do it for you.
Yeah. Regarding the Kundalini, I think that the Kundalini is not a positive thing. I think
I
that
think
it's
any
an
of it,
implant.
yeah, all of it, I feel any of that stuff is all implanted.
Yeah, I think the Kundalini is implanted and it can be used for an attack to make that energy rise up the spine really quickly and cause a psychosis for someone. And it can also be used to siphon sexual energy, like we saw, like with the implant, like the Kundalini was actually implanted so that they could draw from it. Yeah, I think it's used. It's a deceptive manipulation of the energy system, like an implant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they all are. Go ahead.
I'll be right back.
I'll just sit here.
Okay.
Let's see, y'all have any questions? Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, the whole sexual energy thing too. I mean, I have a lot to say about that, especially in my own experience. Being very young and sexual, it's not like I was promiscuous in any way, but I mean, I knew from a very young age about orgasm, how to have one. And I don't even know how that really came about. And it makes me wonder. I mean, like, seeing sessions now, especially when we get clients that come in and have certain issues, we always find like we're attracting these clients for a reason, either to mirror something in us. And for me, I mean, when we had that Kundalini thing about, being siphoned of sexual energy, I was talking about that several videos ago, about how I was um, being manipulated sexually. I feel like it was trying to get a body, like for me to actually have an orgasm in order for them to feed off of my sexual energy. But I was able to like remove like these devices or whatever in my head. And I feel like the whole thing has gotten a lot better, in a sense of like not being manipulated to, yeah, to like get tempted to want to just give my energy like that. So it's actually been really interesting, seeing that, because of how much, um well, I mean, you have to see like exactly where they're hooking into you. And because of that whole like thing, that is me as a child, like knowing about sexual energy, or knowing how to release it, it makes you wonder like what is normal, or what you perceive as normal and what isn't. Right. I remember when I brought that up with some friends, I'm like, what, it's not, you guys didn't masturbate at 4? And they're like, no. And I'm like, really? Me neither. So you're on mute.
Yeah, that can be a big time manipulation. Looking back, you can see how you were targeted. We even saw some of the abductions that happened, and you were implanted. Is that what you were talking about? We saw that you were implanted in your sacral as well.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go check to see that um the snake, I don't know. I don't think I have it, but definitely worth a body scan to like really thoroughly look to see if there's any other implants or devices that are there. I may have dismantled the whole operation, which is probably why the energy is a lot less. I feel like I don't have any urges. I don't have any feelings of it running through my body. I don't feel manipulated at night, like when I'm about to go to bed. That's usually when it would come on. But I don't have that anymore.
That's good. You did a lot of work with that last BQH session we did. We removed a lot of like implants and stuff.
Yeah, that was was that the same one where we saw the Grim Reaper? Was that the same one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a really big
Yeah.
session.
And so you don't, that's the thing with like a BQH session or a body scan, you don't really notice the results right away. But like I tell people, like you'll look back in a couple months and see how different your life is. You know, you might not recognize it right away. We had a really beautiful BQH session last night. That was really, oh, and of course, I always find things that are related to our sessions. They just happen to come across my path. I came across this video. So our client saw herself in the center. Well, she was viewing it from above at first, and she saw like these waves coming into the center. It was like
Kaleidoscope.
yeah, like a kaleidoscope, like a geometric shape, and the waves were coming into the center. And she said she felt like she was standing in the center, but she hadn't anchored there yet. So I anchored her into the center of that, and she just had this really beautiful experience where her feet, so it was like water, she was in water, and her feet were anchored and like buried in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, it was like, and then as she like went up her body, she could see that she was wearing a really long dress, and she was like in the water up to her chest at one point. And it was just this beautiful metaphor for life. There were so many things attached to it, and it was like she was firmly rooted in the ground. She even saw like her legs started to grow tree bark, which was like symbolizing the strong foundation, right? And then as she went up the body, she could feel like her body just like swaying in the water, which was such a beautiful metaphor for being firmly rooted.
Was she
But
swaying for real, or did you see her sway, or she wasn't? Like you, she was just saying she felt it because
a
my
little
eyes.
bit,
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, it was just like, being flexible, not being battered around by the waves because you're stiff, right? And non-conforming, or just like easy to break off and be thrashed around. But being able to move with the waves,
Mm-hmm.
being flexible in that way. And she was in that, experiencing that for a pretty good amount of time.
I love
It was beautiful. And today I come across this video, of course, and it's about sacred geometry. It's actually from a show called Sacred Geometry. And it was funny how she kept saying it was like geometric in some way, the way she was experiencing it. It's from a show on Gaia that someone posted on Instagram called Sacred Geometry. And in it, he's also talking about the one surrounded by the 12.
Oh,
Yeah. Which also came up in her session.
Right.
And it was so they show the visual of like the one in the center being surrounded by 12 colors, which represented each frequency inside of this like sacred geometry.
Wow.
I know.
Did you send that to her?
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
Yeah. And it was about feeling the subtle energy, like getting so in tune that you can feel the subtle energy shifts and how to use the energy for healing and things like that. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, I gotta see that video. You gotta send it to me.
Yeah, I will.
Wow.
I'm just checking the chat. Yeah, Simon Parks needs an astral ass whooping for sure. That is evil.
We're not evil. I would like to think. But we're not evil.
I don't think we're evil.
I hope not. If we are, that's the unconscious stuff that I'd like to bring conscious so I can heal it. So
Oh, that's right. Okay, so let's talk about that. Lisa, thanks for the reminder. Ishmael Perez. I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he exploded on the spiritual scene maybe a couple months ago. And
fraud.
Everybody's sharing his videos and like so super excited about him. And wow, he's so amazing. And I went to check this guy out and
It's
I'm
just
like,
another one of those people during the love and light stuff that is just another fucking new face that's validating the same fucking lies, perpetuating the same shit again in a different form, but the same energy and the same message.
yes. But it's crazy to see with this because we haven't been in that scene for so long. So it's crazy to see with our new set of eyes looking back on that. You can clearly see it's a deception. Either because he literally parrots every single talking point in the spiritual community, in the new age, in the ascension, new earth crew, right? Every single talking point. He goes from like, I'm a cosmic ambassador from the Galactic Federation, and this is my job here, and I've been researching and getting downloads.
He's from so and so. Like, how the fuck you know that, bro?
Right. Yeah. Like, and he talks so quickly that you can see the interviewer doesn't have time to really process all the information that he's spewing out because and also knowing that you can't prove any of this information that he's spewing out either. So you either have to take his word for it or I don't know, like what. But it's interesting because it's like, so it's got the galactic thing and the cosmic ambassador. He talks about the solar event. He talks about ascension. He talks about AI. And he draws, I can tell by listening to him that he draws a lot of his information from Ashayana Dean. So he's a plagiarizer as well, takes it as his own information, writes a book about it, and then claims it as his own, which it's not. So he doesn't reference any sources or anything. He just comes out with this book who I didn't read it personally, but people were saying that it was filled with like so many errors. And then he blamed his publisher, saying it was her fault. She was trying to, what's it called? Sabotage him. She was trying to sabotage him because she didn't want this information to get out. So she made the errors in his book that he apparently waited 15 years to release. I'm like, dude, you had 15 years to correct those errors. Like, come on. And then you're going to blame the publisher. It's very shady. So to me,
and no one has called him out.
No, not that I've seen.
We should have him on our channel.
Everybody just is literally up his ass, kissing his ass, and like there's like a million videos of him on YouTube now. There's channels that just post his videos that like collect all his interviews and put them, they're just making money off of it too. But to me, he either feels like he's an actual like CIA disinformant and or both. He's just like some dude who's trying to cash in on this whole
Yeah,
thing.
or he was totally placed there purposefully by the upper, because you can't just get popular like that out of fucking nowhere, where they come out of nowhere. It's the same like when we hear about those artists like Travis Scott who came out of fucking nowhere and they placed them there. So it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
Like, where did this guy
because
come from?
right, because it's totally taking people off track. It's a distraction, just distraction from anything real. There's, I mean, of course, with everything, there's truth. There's some truth in what he's saying, of course, but there has to be, or people wouldn't believe it at all. But the majority of it is either plagiarized or can't be proven at all. If somebody comes in and says they're a galactic ambassador, like how do you prove or disprove that? But that's what he leads with. So it's already like
Yeah.
putting forward this feeling of authority, like, he knows more than you because he's a galactic ambassador to Earth. And but it's the
He
same.
should come on our channel and he says that. I'm like, oh, well, it's nice to meet you, employee. I'm your boss. How do you prove that?
Right.
Those files are
and
confidential.
if he is channeling that, what entities are telling him that information, because that's what they do. They make you feel important. They inflate your ego, make you feel important. So then you can put forward their information because you trust them, because they're making you feel important. That's how they get people to spread this information. It's by inflating the ego. So yeah, it's all just very fishy to me, very suspicious. And the way he talks so fast, almost as if, you'll see the interviewers just like glaze over.
Yeah, like they're in a trance.
Yeah. They don't even know what to say to it because some of it, the information's so out there.
Yeah, no, because it's
It,
all fucking word salad.
it's
Like
word
like a
salad.
narc does.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where we're getting to fine tune our discernment, right? Through observing things like this and like how this happens and just swallows the community up. And you do see there are very few people like on the outskirts like us who like would question something like that. But the majority of spiritual people get funneled into that. And I mean, even, some of our colleagues who we love are sending us videos and we're like, are you sure? You know?
Right. Just because it sounds smart doesn't mean it is.
Right.
I could say a bunch of big words and just pull up a bunch of synonyms to make you feel stupid and be like, well, listen to me because I'm the master commander. Number 5, ship, triangle, bringing out the light from the top triangle. That's where I live. That's where my penthouse is. Top of the triangle of that ship 5.
And
Did I say?
we could have done that. Like we could have went that path. We could have went the channeling path and
We tried it.
yeah, we
That's an honest
did.
thing. We tried it. It's just didn't stick.
Right.
And we just take that. We ride with it. We're not going to force it. But we just ride with it. It didn't feel natural either. And it was like, cool. That was fun. And then we never did it again, really. Like it was just kind of another natural evolution. Kind of like
Right.
hit a bump in the road with it, but it's like not for us. And
Well,
our
right.
practice
And
didn't
that
evolve
bump
in
in the
that way
road,
either.
right. And that bump in the road showed us that it wasn't for us because it showed us, I think, everything that we've been through has been a learning experience and a practice in our discernment that showed us that we can't trust these entities who are being channeled.
Right. Even if they say that they're the highest end from 12D,
Right.
12D Euro mountain. But I don't know. Like they just say all these things.
Yeah,
And
and
people
I
are like,
think,
yeah, great, 12D. That sounds high.
well, right, and that's all the buzzwords he's using, you know, the 12D, the ascension, the galactics, the solar flash is going to come and everybody's
Yeah.
going to ascend to 5D and everything is going to be so amazing. And no one
Yeah.
stops to think, how is that really going to work?
How is that really going to work? And what the fuck does that have to do with anything that's happening on Earth? Here, talk about something that's happening on Earth, in our
Right.
world, that's happening around the world, that's affecting the collective, like not what's going on in fucking Timbuktu Star.
Yeah, and you know, that's a whole part of this ascension psyop too. They just want people distracted from what's really going on in this world.
Yeah.
To think that it's another savior program, you know, 5D is another savior program. And just wait. And it keeps you on, it's the dangling carrot, right? It keeps you on the edge of your seat. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to do any work, you don't have to heal yourself. You just wait for 2024 when this solar flash comes. You're going to be in your crystalline light body and everything's going to be perfect here. All
Yeah.
of a sudden, just like that.
I can't wait. Can't wait.
But wait, because not everybody's going to make it, only the special ones.
Oh, fuck. I don't think I'm in that
Are you
line.
special?
Do you think I'm special?
I think you're special. I
Then
think you would
yeah,
make it to 5D.
I'm already there. I'm there. I'm the one who's testing it out.
Yeah.
Report. Yeah, I'm testing it out. Living in the top of the triangle penthouse. God, it's so dumb.
Oh, Melissa, I did see Carrie's interview with him. I did like that she asked questions. Like she challenged him a little bit, but I felt like she was still on board with a lot of the things he was saying. But
Yeah, that's where
Carrie,
it is. You know,
I feel like Carrie has lost the plot too. I feel like, I don't know. I just
there's
don't align with her anymore either. There aren't very many people that I
right. That
watch.
happens to us all the time where we're like in somewhere, like we're listening to a video, and I'm like, yeah, totally, totally get that. And then they say something, and we're like, what? They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I had COVID, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I got 8 boosters.
QAnona.
Yeah. I should make my own pictures.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, people are just being totally hoodwinked by these spiritual people and
Oh god, it
that
drives me
whole,
crazy.
yeah, that whole,
I mean, being out of it now after it's been like how long that you've been hearing the same fucking story every day just to soothe your fears, soothe your worst nightmares, soothe whatever. That's it. Like, get a fucking reality check.
well, it's hope. It gives people hope. And
What a
hope,
damn hopium.
yeah, it's hopium. Hope is dangerous. Hope can be dangerous. It can be weaponized because it keeps people in one place doing nothing. There's no righteous anger to propel them. They just have hope that everything's just going to be okay. Everything's going to change for the better when we can clearly see that the world is going down the shitter. They're putting bugs in our food. You know, COVID's still happening. There's monkeypox. Like they're moving forward with their plans.
Right.
They're making robots that look like humans. There's self-replicating nanos in everybody's body. Like, what?
Right. While all that's happening because we're just waiting.
Yeah.
Obedient. I'm going to 5D. So it doesn't matter all the shit that's happening here because people think that they're physically going to go somewhere.
Yeah.
You should post click we're gonna link that down below. The one TikTok video I did waiting to go to 5D. I did a video on that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought that was thoroughly entertaining.
it was. You did some really good TikToks. There's only a few, but I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, I don't have time.
I know. I don't
I
like
mean,
TikTok either. Like I can't stand any of these social media platforms anymore. I really don't even like being on YouTube. But it's the only way we have to like reach people. But TikTok, do you know that if you have TikTok downloaded, it literally takes everything from your phone? Literally everything, your files, your contacts, everything, and every click that you make, everything. And not only that, but it gets access to the devices around you as well. Somehow. I don't know how. It's magic, but it does.
nanobots riding the waves.
Mhm. Yeah. I was just gonna say something and I can't remember. What was it? Mm.
Well, Tina's thinking, please, if you haven't already, like the video.
Oh, there's 28 people there. I think that's like our max ever.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine. We know our room's quite small.
Yeah, I think the rapture, I think that belief system was created based on the idea of the rapture. Um, and that you're special and that, some people are going to make it to 5D, some people aren't. It's the same idea as the rapture, where the good Christians get taken up by Jesus and the rest of the bad ones stay.
Yeah,
It's the
and
same exact thing.
that's the thing that really got me in it. It's just like, I mean, like questioning it more, like when we were kind of listening to the people saying we're going to 5D, and I'm like, what does that mean exactly? Like the way that they were talking, and I was like, so you mean to say that I'm gonna fizzle out of my body? My consciousness is just gonna come out, my body is just gonna be like stuck. I don't know, whatever it is. And I'm gonna just be like, okay, bye family, because I know that they're nowhere close to knowing what's going on in the world or the deception of the world or whatever. Like they're not at all awake. So I'm just gonna be okay with the fact that I'm gonna be like, all right, bye mom. Like it was cool knowing you, and but I'm gonna be over there on another dimension.
In the new earth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
By the
leave you here
waterfall. Yeah.
in the old
Yeah.
ugly one. I'm
To
going to
suffer,
the good
suffer.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going, yeah, so see ya.
But for me, even when we were entertaining that idea, for me, 5D, what people called 5D was always just a state of consciousness.
Right.
Like I never ascribed to the belief that we were going to leave and
No,
go
me
somewhere.
neither. But I was entertaining the idea of how if I were
Yeah,
to
no,
believe
yeah,
it, I was like, so I'm just gonna like
yeah,
go
yeah,
and it's like leave my whole life behind. What if my kids? I'm gonna leave them.
yeah.
You're like, all right, bug, see ya. If you need
Mom's going
me,
to 5D.
yeah, if you need me, just like meditate and connect. Maybe I'll see you in your dreams.
Yeah, but people don't stop to even think about what that would look like practically, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is why, like,
Like
some
it's
people,
delusion.
right? And some people are coming out now and saying, like, the event is within you, New Earth is within you, 5D is within you, because they're seeing that, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, they're always changing it up a little
Yeah.
bit. Like,
Or they move the goalpost,
yeah. They go further. Because I remember how many times they're like, oh, yeah, near your birthday, Karen. That was when I was turning 38 or 37. I don't know. And I'm like, I'm turning 40. Like, when's it happening? When are they going to give me my gold that is entitled to me? The money that they've all stolen from me and my ancestors.
Yeah. That you think these people are ever going to give us gold? I mean, come on.
You know, imagine they're like, and especially people who live in apartments like me, They're gonna be like, okay, Karen, your goal is like in your door. So you better be home when it gets there. Or don't worry, your neighbor's just as rich, so they won't take it from you. Like how are you gonna change the consciousness of the people around you? It's that it no, it doesn't
It's
work like that.
right. Oh, that's what I was going to say. It's not a collective shift in consciousness. It's just not. It's an individual process. We know that a shift is happening, right? I mean, we see it around us. You feel there's 28 people here, those 28 people are raising their consciousness. We know that it's happening. More and more people are kind of waking up to the dream every day. But there's so many traps laid for awakening people. And the New Age and the Ascension belief system is one of them. And that's kind of the first trap that was laid, as they knew people would be coming out of organized religion, right? So they had to lay another trap, which looks a little different than organized religion. But when you look deeper, it's the same exact thing. No one's allowed to think outside the box. You have to ascribe to this specific set of belief systems in order to fit in.
Right.
Otherwise, you don't fit in. You're on the fringe like you and I. All alone, just drifting in a sea. Yeah.
All right. I like
And
it there.
and so one of the other deceptions of that narrative is that the earth is going to change. So there's going to be this big event. The earth is shifting in consciousness, and you're going to be a part of that change, the new earth, the whole thing. And you're still focused on healing the collective. You're still focused on the entire collective shifting, which means
carrying that dead weight.
Right. Which means that you're still inside the cave. You're still stuck inside the cave, Plato's cave, inside the dream. Like you're not shifting out of that. So that's another detachment that you need to have, that you need to make, is from the collective consciousness and wishing, hoping, dreaming that they're going to change. Because they're not. They're just
far
not.
from. I mean, again, you can't deny.
Right. Yeah. So that's another thing that I've had to detach from, over the last couple of years, is really hoping that there would be some kind of like big shift in consciousness. But I mean, there is in little pockets, of course, but nothing like what is needed to really transform this planet and this system. It would take billions of people.
You're like, well, we're in the age of Aquarius. I don't even know what that means. Again, it's just extra words to make you be like, well, yes, we are in the age of Aquarius.
Right.
And if enough people say it, then it has to be true, right? Just like the news.
Oh my God. So on how we talked about how, no, we didn't talk about Howdie. So we're going to have Howdie Mikowski on for an interview September 20th. And he's writing a book about the soul trap and Plato's cave and how it all kind of weaves together. Seems like a really, really good guy. And he has a video posted on his channel called, oh, my phone just died. Something about the news benders or something like that. But anyway, it's a show from the BBC from 1968. And in this 30-minute show, they reveal all of these really big truths, including the fact that the news is pre-written like years in advance, that they have, like, he opens the door. So the setup is this guy is being called into the office to speak with like this important guy, like, I don't know, like the guy that runs the place. They kind of are recruiting him.
Mm-hmm.
And during the thing, he opens the door and shows him where the news is created, and it's in this room with little models of like spaceships and like Mars rovers. And this was before they even landed on the moon. So this was revealed before the moon landing even supposedly took place, I think.
Okay.
And yeah, he was basically recruiting him to work for them, showing him how they make the news. They wanted him to write the news for 1973. And they're showing him like how it works. So like the spacecraft were fake. The Mars rover was fake. They were, I think they were even triggering a volcano or something, or I don't know if they were actually triggering it or if it was just a fake eruption, something like that. Anyway, it's really, really interesting. They even talk about implants. So the guy pulls out this little thing and says that it was inserted into him when he had a surgery a few years ago, which is what we've seen they actually do to like SSP kids or whatever. They will take the chance while you're going in to get work done to implant you with something. So he had this implant inside of him that was listening to every word he's ever said. It was being fed back to this recorder that was recording it all. And the guy was actually playing his voice on the recorder. I mean, it was just wild. There were so many like truth bombs in that from 1968. So if they could do that then, imagine what they're doing now. Now, every time I see like any piece of news, I think to myself, is that even real at all? I mean, because we know the news isn't real, but to like see it in that way where they're actually creating just fake shit, like everything is fake, is wild. But I highly recommend it. I think it's called News
You should share
Benders.
the link down.
I should. Can I grab my charger real quick?
Yeah. Hello again, everybody. Karen here. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Like that 5D 14-day trial.
Huh?
Like 5D 14-day trial. What do you think that would look like?
I don't know. But yeah, you guys should check out Howdie's channel if you don't already. It's Howdie, Howdie.
DIE?
Mikowski. Is it Mickowski? And look for that video. It's really, really interesting. Any good comments? I can't see them anymore.
I don't know. I feel like I have like connection to the server timed out. So I haven't been able to see anything.
That's weird.
The last thing I wrote was to Mike to email us.
Oh.
Well, you're getting a bunch of like shit on your video.
On my screen. The Ringing Cedar says, I absolutely love and honor what you ladies are saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam said she saw it a while back. Yeah, let me see if I can grab the The link.
Yeah, my chat don't work. I can't see anything. I can't believe summer is all almost over.
Yeah. I
May
know.
May was like a whole year in itself, and then June, July, August was like 3 weeks. It felt.
Yeah, it's true. I really would like a little bit of a break from this heat and humidity though. Like I know I complain about the winter, but I can't take it
I
anymore.
know there
It's
has to be
been,
some kind of balance. Well,
yeah, it's been bending the news. Oh no, wait. That's, yeah, it's been over 90 here every day this month, except for one day. So, and so humid.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
here it
pretty humid
is.
today too. What you looking for?
The link for that news vendors video.
Yes, my TikTok clip. So that's important too.
Oh, yes. I have to open this.
I'm not on TikTok actively, just so you know. But I think I don't even know what our name is. That's how long it's been that I haven't been on it. We should probably wrap this up because I don't like the whole line thing that's going on in your video. So um
Let me just get the TikTok link. I'm getting tired too.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm
no.
just waiting for my phone to start up.
Tried to press on the live thing, but it don't work. So
What on the comments?
yeah, I don't have it. It's saying that my connection is timed out. I could see I'm still talking. The video is working, but the chat I can't.
That's weird.
I
Because
know.
I had some really weird tech issues earlier. I called the bank. This was weird. I called the bank because there was like a $5 charge on my account. I didn't know where it came from, but it's been like recurring.
Okay.
I say my password, you have a password, and it doesn't go through the automated system. So I get a real person and I tell him my password and he said, no, that's not it. I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, he gives me the hint and I say like something else. He's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, okay, that's weird that it's not working.
Someone like
Then
accessed your account?
I don't know, it was weird. Then he says, okay, well, I need to verify you another way. So I'm going to give you this code 2127 and then call you back and you'll give me that code. Okay. So when he calls me back, I answer it and I can't hear anything at all. I'm like, hello, hello, hello. Can't hear anything. He hangs up. He calls me back. He leaves me a voicemail and says, I just called you. I'll try again. He tried again. I answer it again. Can't hear anything. And then he leaves me a voicemail and says, it's not even ringing. It's going right to voicemail. So I lost him. I couldn't get back in contact with him. So I called the bank back again, went through the automated system, said my password, and then it worked that time. Isn't that weird?
Were you really talking to someone?
I
Or
don't
him?
know.
Or were you should call back again tomorrow to make sure that it's like
I
not
mean, it
someone who
sounds,
kind of cut the line, and like took over, like how you see it in Ocean's 11, like
it was strange,
right.
but it
You should
felt
have
like I
access to your
was,
account.
yeah,
Did you check on your phone, like the app, or somewhere else?
check what?
your bank? Like if there's any other funny withdrawals or no?
No, it's fine.
You were able to figure out what the charge was?
Yeah. Yeah. It was, I signed up for this truth community back in 2021, which is another weird thing because so what I noticed was that they were charging me twice every month, like once on the 17th and once on the 28th, $5 each time. And I had emailed them and not getting any response at all.
Okay,
And
but your
when
bank was able to cut it off.
No, and I couldn't get into I couldn't even get into the community because when I tried to reset the password, they said they would send me an email, but I would never get the email. So I couldn't even like do
So they're
that.
just like spammers.
That's what it was feeling like to me. Then finally, I replied to the email. It was Sarah Westall, who I actually like her a lot, but I could never get in, and I've been paying for it for like a year and a half. And so finally, she emailed me back today, and I requested a refund for like all the months that I paid double, and asked her if she could just like cancel my account. She was really good about it. So, anyway, that's a long story.
Paid double?
Yeah, because I get the emails from her, and today I opened it. I never opened them, but I opened it and I saw that she was offering the community now for like $1 a month, and I'm like, I'm paying like $10 a month. I'm paying double. So, yeah, no, she was really good about it. She refunded my money and
All of it?
um, well, the double part, so half of it, not all of it.
But
I
did
mean,
you stop? But
technically,
did you stop paying? Are you stopped paying into it?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like little ways that you just
Yeah,
nip
it's
at you.
little ways that yeah, you're just draining money. So yeah. Oh, let me get that TikTok video.
Yes, please. I think
Someone
we're only
commented on one of our other videos that we should do TikToks, and
Oh, I did. I tried it. I have a couple of things in there. I don't even know. It's kind of outdated. There's even a skit that I do with my kids.
I don't even know what we're called either.
Quantum healing. Tena Karen? I don't know.
There's a quantum healing Karen.
I don't think that's it. Is it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, well, Tina's birthday passed and I got her a map.
Oh yeah, we should show that.
I got her a map. Um, Usually these maps that you get, like where you have like the pin things, it's for people who travel a lot, but we don't travel. So we made it into a like our business, Quantum Healing with you and Karen, and then the legend is really like our clients. So like all the pins that we have put in are the different places around the world that we've had and worked with people. So it's really cool to see.
Yeah. I can't find it. Can you send me a link?
I don't have TikTok.
Huh?
I don't have TikTok.
Oh.
I deleted it. Damn it, go.
Yeah, there's a lot of quantum healings. But ta-da!
Yeah. So you can't really see, or you could see like those little brown
Here, I'll put it on, I'll pin it.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
so
have
we
some
really
plans
claimed a lot of dominion over the East Coast.
Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, we got one in Africa. We got quite a bit up out in in Europe, at least like with UK, um, a couple in Asia. We got, I think, one in Japan and a couple in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. But yeah, a lot in the tri-state area that when we came across like doing it like going through the clients and stuff, like if we hit a couple of New York, we're like, Tina was like, no, I'm not putting a pin because look at it. So
Yeah.
like we've
Yes,
already hit.
but this part of the map, there's so little too. But yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah,
New York, California,
California was a lot.
Florida are our biggest states. Yeah, New York, California, and some in
We even got Alaska. There's one in Alaska.
no, that oh yeah, that is Alaska. Yeah, it's really cool to see like on the board that we connected with all these people around the world.
Yeah.
Argentina, Peru, Colombia, a few from Venezuela. Even we have one right in the middle here in the Azores Islands,
Yeah, in Portugal.
Portugal. Yeah, right in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And then Mexico, a couple of Mexico, Costa Rica, Spain, Italy, Finland, a few from Finland, Sweden, UK. Yeah, we have a lot from UK too. Germany, Poland,
Serbia.
Serbia. Yeah, France. It's hard to see. Yeah, and then over here is Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh,
Yeah.
and Singapore. And then Australia and New Zealand. You from New Zealand?
I thought it was pretty good. We'd like to expand. I mean, if people like want to work with us.
Yeah, I wonder why we don't reach this section of the world, like Eastern Europe and Asia. I guess they have a different internet. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's where like, not saying that's true, but like maybe that's where like the unconscious collective are.
The what?
Like the collective unconscious. Majority of them are.
Yeah, I think you can see from that map like a lot of
Oh,
if that's a like a true
are we not pinned? We're not side by side in the picture.
there. No, we weren't.
Oh, okay. I was like, ew, I don't like seeing myself so close.
Oh no, was that on speaker mode?
Yeah, it was.
Why? I had myself pinned so I can show the map.
No, it showed me a lot. I didn't like it. I was like,
That's weird.
it is,
Why
isn't
did
it?
it do that? I think that happened before. So
Yeah.
nobody saw the map that I was showing?
No, they did see it, but it would randomly come to me and I'm not saying anything and I'm like awkward looking.
You know what was weird yesterday during our session? The Zoom was like picking up the voices on all of our things like randomly.
I saw that.
You did?
It was weird because at one point, like my eyes were closed, but I could feel movement on the screen. So I opened my eyes just a little bit just to see, and I was just seeing the green. And some of the squares weren't fully solid, but it's like,
Yeah, the little lines at the bottom. Yeah, that was really interesting.
the hell does that mean, you think?
I felt like there were like the microphones were picking up some kind of energy, like a vibration or something.
Maybe it was sacred geometry.
Yeah, maybe it was because when we gather for a session like that, like the energy comes in really strong and we don't always like feel it physically, but it's there and it's working or whatever it's doing. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that like after the session. I don't know why I can't find us on here.
Hello from Chicago. Yeah, we got Chicago too. Yeah. Detroit. Do we have anyone from Detroit? I don't know if we did. But yeah, there's a couple of states that were a little like missing.
I don't know if we had Detroit specifically, but we did have Michigan. Is Detroit in Michigan?
Yeah. I think we only covered like 4 provinces in Canada.
How many are there?
I don't know.
You don't know how many
Abstract.
provinces there
I
are?
don't know. Abstract, can you answer that? He's Canadian. I just don't. I'm not. I don't know. Wait, hold on. British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, Labrador. I think is Labrador part of Newfoundland, or is that too? I don't know. Prince Edward Island.
Is that a province in itself?
Prince Edward Island, yeah. Abstract. I don't know. I can't see the comments, but yeah, I think there's 9 provinces and 3 territories, right? I don't know. I don't remember that in school, to be honest.
Well, it's weird because we're
Yeah,
not
really.
coming up on
Reset.
TikTok at all.
No? But are you on? You don't have TikTok anymore?
I'm on TikTok.
Okay. But did you see like where I tagged you anywhere? Like when I messaged you privately or anything like that?
Oh. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's not what that's not our name at all.
What is it?
It's at Tena.Karen OSG.
Yeah.
Okay.
My acting skills is not very good. But the point, the message should get across. So yeah, share that. Share the information. Thank you very much, people, whoever has come on and stuck around. We appreciate your presence. I wish I could see more. I could see that there's 27 watching, but I don't know who the hell is watching. So yeah, if you'd like to work with us or get to know us a little better, I mean, our website's a little oldish that we're trying to look to upgrade that. So trying to manifest a webmaster who can keep the integrity of our energy, but also evolve us into what we're trying to evolve in. We don't know what that is yet. We're going to do a photo shoot in September and hopefully look a little professional. I don't know. I ain't no model. I'm only 5'1.5". And I don't know if anyone wants to give us some ideas how that's going to look. We're going to be like glamour shot style.
You're so awkward already. I don't know how this is gonna work.
Yeah, I'm worried that he's going to be like, okay, look at each other. I'm like, and? Well, then what? And be normal?
I know. I've never had a photo shoot either. That's gonna be weird.
I think we should just own it and fake it, right? Just fake it. Like, does this look good? Do you like what you see? Is this natural? I don't know. I'm worried about it, to be honest, just because it's already super, super unnatural to take pictures like in the woods.
Okay. Oh, Seeking Truth says they're learning web development. Oh, that would be great.
Who's learning web development?
Seeking Truth. He said,
Okay.
if I get a little better, or she, I'm sorry, I don't know if you're male or female. If I get a little better, I would do your site for free.
It's very kind of you to
That's
offer. We want it to be very simple. I mean, like, you need to understand like where we were coming from when we just first made that website. I think Tina was like, okay, I'm gonna start the business. Great. I just started an impromptu website, like bought the domain and just started it and made it like in 2 hours and was like, okay, we got something up. Let's hope it's enough for now while we continue to work on it. And then like I feel like you go all in and do it, and then you evolve so fast that it's old and you have to keep up. It's like the upkeep of it is hard.
the upkeep's hard.
Upkeep
Yeah,
is very
because
hard. That's why we got to keep it simple.
like through our work so fast. And I think too, I think our work speaks for itself. And I don't know. I guess it's important in this world to have a nice website, but
Yeah, we'll see how the
I'll
pictures
just-
turn up. If not, we're just gonna get a little page and just hope,
yeah, I'm just so detached from those kinds of things, you know.
and we'll just keep the pictures for us.
Mhm.
Just keep the pictures for us.
Simple is better. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty simple.
I think as us, I mean, well, just a community poll here. You could see the comments. Do you guys think we're mysterious or we're transparent?
That's a good question.
Like, do you feel that we're mysterious or we're holding or we're just, because I think like it's hard sometimes for people to see that we're so open, like open books. I think there's that part where they're like, but they gotta be hiding something. Or there's I don't know, we're mysterious, but we're really not. I mean, that's what you get. There's nothing much more to it than this.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think we put on like a mask, like a persona. That was something that Howdie was talking about in his, I read a couple chapters of his book that he sent me, and he was talking about how, you know, like spiritual people or gurus and stuff like that, like they present a specific, you know, persona or kind of like just wear a mask. And I'm like, I don't feel like we've ever really done that. We've been pretty open and honest with who we are, not pretending to be perfect or have all the answers or know how to heal you. Like we can help you and guide you to heal yourself and share with you what we know, but we're not gurus, you know?
Fuck. That sounds so weird. It's so old, like an old
Right, it's old.
thing. It's like, nope.
I do think there's some, what's the word? Something to be gained from people who can guide you and lead you. But when you start to worship them, that's when it gets dicey, you know, and like the cults start to form and those kinds of things. And groups like
yeah.
having to fit into a group and
Yeah.
just always kind of stayed away from that and haven't like needed that.
It makes me uncomfortable too. Like, I mean, just for that split second, like when we meet clients and they're like, oh my God, it's like you. And I'm like, who? I go, who's there? It's just weird to me because I'm like, there's no
Yeah.
worship here. It's not, no one's better than anyone here. We're all just trying to figure this shit out together, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We're just applying our theories and hoping that it works or
Yeah. Kim says she thinks we're transparent and honest.
oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Transparent, transparent, genuine and transparent. That's good. Thanks, guys.
I like that too. That's actually better than I hoped for, you know?
Okay.
I'm glad that you can feel that. That's the thing.
Huh?
No, I'm just glad that they feel that. That's like an important thing for me that we're not. Because I mean, I would like people to call us out if they felt like there was something, whatever. So, I mean, something that we can all put on the table and be like, yeah, what is that? Or why? Or I don't know. It's always open for discussion. Anyway, thank you everyone for coming today. Please like again the video if you haven't. And we hope that you learned something in this non-school talk. And we always are open again to conversation, to whatever it is, because I feel we all hold something, we all hold a piece to the puzzle, just our own existence. And like Tina said, if like getting out of here will probably be a unique experience to each individual soul, spirit, consciousness. So whatever that is, you know, it's really important to do the work, to detach, to enjoy life. You know, that seems to be very simple, but that's what it is, like in the simplest terms. And yeah, what else was the point? Nothing. We're just happy to be here participating and getting together with amazing people that I can't see in the chat. But to those that were gracious enough to write us and to take part and to stick around throughout the whole, like we really appreciate you. And we hope that I don't know when we're coming back on, but that we bring more information to do this again and to share the space with you. With that being said, Tina, like anything for closing?
Well said.
Thank you.
I just second everything that you said. I'm really grateful for all of you that are here. Thanks for hanging out and listening to us. Yeah, I think just what you said, I don't want to repeat it. For myself, it's, you know, still doing the inner work and gaining the wisdom, trusting in our own selves and our consciousness, not hyper focusing on the trap part of it.
Balance.
Balance.
All about balance. So I mean, like, yes, it's good to know what's going on, good to know what's happening. But now, like when you do the work, you can create quality of life. You know, that's what it is. That way they can't feed off of you. That way you can't feed the system anymore. Right?
Right.
Think of
Right.
it that way.
It's about detaching yourself from the system so that it can't feed off of you anymore. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, all right, everybody. Thank you again. We appreciate you. And if you ever want to comment when we close this up, like please comment, let us know that you're here and give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. And we hope to see you again on the next episode. Have a good night, everybody. Love you all.
Bye.
Peace.
See you next time.